So mine didn't begin with that radioactive spider, but with some 20 plus years of training rooms, strategy rooms, leadership crucibles, watching managers and leaders evolve and sometimes unravel under pressure. So when I began writing this book, I optimistically believed I could simply translate my workshop or strategy room experiences or styles onto a paper. So I wrote the first two chapters with all that energy, with anecdotes, imagined flip charts, and all of that, and invisible audience nodding along. But what I did was, that's a blessing I had at that time, is share these two chapters with my family members, well-wishers from journalism, HR, and all of that, secretly hoping that I'll get brilliant ideas or brilliant writing comments from them. 4 days, nothing happened. And they came back after 4 days and they said, "Wow, it may not really fly." Let's just say that they gave a constructive feedback. To be honest with you, I didn't take it really well that day. But the next morning, their words began to settle like a strong coffee filter, a bit bitter at first, but ultimately awakening. And that feedback was offered with care and it sparked a new direction for me. Having always enjoyed nonfiction, this time I reread some of the books more for the style this time around. So I started afresh after reading that. I also did the course on creative nonfiction writing because this is a different style that I realized. And I not only, when I went back to those chapters that I wrote, I realized that I also did not like it then. So I rewrote those chapters and eventually additional 16 chapters completing that book journey. So in my current role as head of learning and organization development, I'm privileged to constantly sit at the intersection of metrics and meaning. So while business KPIs keep me grounded, it's the quiet transformations, the first time manager learning to hold space, or a seasoned leader rediscovering empathy, that really lit me up. The Irresistible Manager, in that sense, is a distillation of all this, a way to capture a little over 2 decades of leadership lessons, sprinkle it with behavioral science, and served with real stories that readers could see for themselves in those stories. Sure, it's a bit like flying a plane. You need to watch both the parameters and the passengers. So one of our most impactful programs was the leadership lab that we ran for mid-level leaders, complete with cross-functional complexity, real business matrices, and coaching interventions. The twist was we measured not just the outcomes, but the leadership spillover. What I mean by that is how these leaders influenced team collaboration, psychological safety, and risk ownership post lab. And the result was that the teams under these managers showed a 17% improvement in cross functional project closures within 3 to 6 months. So, in short, when you design learning for both performance and presence, business follows. So it started with a simple recurring question. Why do some managers make people stay, grow, and thrive, while others make people update their resumes by Wednesday? At the same time, on April 11th, 2024, a headline caught my attention. A pharmaceutical giant is eliminating management layers and asking nearly 1 lakh employees to self-organize in an effort to save $2.15 billion. Another article put it more bluntly. The organization is doing away with managers to reduce organizational cost. Now, these headlines made me pause after 22 years of corporate world experience, climbing the ladder from junior management to senior leadership. I found this concept to be a little striking. As someone who has spent decades navigating management roles, it represented a paradigm shift that could redefine the corporate landscape as we know it. Perhaps like me, many others have been moving on to the journey of middle management to senior management, working really hard to advance their careers. But if this trend continues, is what I thought, if more companies begin eliminating traditional management roles, what would it mean to these middle managers or senior leaders? What happens to their careers, their ambitions, and their years of experience that they have accumulated? Though I have long been told that middle management forms the backbone of organization and serves as a proving ground for future leadership, here was a company that was taking a different approach. So is middle management truly essential was a question that was troubling me, or it simply was another cost that the companies were looking to cut. Now, this, in addition to the first one that I spoke to you, has inspired me to write something for this group, and the book is a culmination of that. So it explores these questions and aims to assist the readers, the managers, and the leaders find answers through a period of change, not only to survive, but to thrive. So this book is a call to managers everywhere across the globe. You don't need to be superhuman, but you do need to be deeply human. That's the message. So when I was contemplating about the title of this book, I thought, should I really pick this word? Will it appear to be an oxymoron? Can a manager be irresistible? And that contemplation led me to really look at one more time the dictionary meanings of this word called as irresistible. So it's an adjective. It says irresistible means so strong that it cannot be stopped or prevented. Another take of irresistible definition is if you describe something or someone as irresistible, you mean that they are so good or attractive that you cannot stop yourself from liking them or wanting them. So I said, yeah, that fits in. And then that could be an exploration for managers or leaders to explore what really would make them irresistible. Now, to my mind, if I have to synthesize it and to answer your question, there are three words. You can remember that as an acronym called as LAB, LAB. L stands for listens with intention. A stands for acts with clarity, and B stands for builds trust in small moments. So listens with intention, not just ears, but eyes and instincts. Acts with clarity, especially when ambiguity is really high, and builds trust in small moments because culture isn't just built in town halls, it's built in periodic interim check ins. These three are like the gravity. People feel safe orbiting around them. Oh, that's a tough one. Not an easy answer to give, but it's like, Swati, toggling between Excel and OneNote or Evernote kind of a thing. So in a day, I live in dashboards, and at night, I drift into ideas. Or maybe during working days, it's dashboards, and weekends, it's like drifting into the ideas. That said, both roles share two secret ingredients. One, observation, and second, passion to serve. So, a good L&D leader watches for patterns in business and behavior, and a good writer watches for meaning in these patterns. Also, let's be honest, writing helps me metabolize what I experience, and it also gives me a therapeutic experience. Or with 650 hours of coaching in India and abroad for senior executives, there are some 4 5 things that I realized are common in corporates today. The first one, they say coaching is not for me. First misunderstanding. The second one, they say coaching is HR's job. Third, coaching is a slow process and business is quarter to quarter, it's really fast. So coaching doesn't really align with the speed of business deliverable or the change that is expected. Fourth one, I'm not a trained coach. Now, that is quite possible because people may not have undergone formal coaching and maybe they find it restrictive, especially managers and leaders when it comes to coaching their team. So that is one another misconception. While despite of not having the formal training, they still do something that a coach also would do in some form or the other, but that still is a misunderstanding that leaders and managers have. Another one that I have seen common is managers thinking that coaching is only for top leadership, and inversely, top leadership thinking that I don't need coaching, but it's the manager under me who needs coaching. So, coaching is really misunderstood in those many dimensions. In short, they need to really understand, or they feel that coaching is for fixing problems or rescuing poor performers. Coaching, on the contrary, is a readiness tool. It's not a repair tool, it's a readiness tool. And another big misunderstanding that I have realized is coaching brings answer or coach brings answer. In reality, great coaching is about creating a thinking partnership, engaging in a thought provoking process that enable coachee to find answers and get clarity. It's like holding a mirror, not handing over the manual. Yeah, and that's a good news. So coaching is moving from the fringes to the core of leadership development. So in fact, if you really look at one report by McKinsey, the 2023 Future of Work report, it notes that India will be among the fastest growing markets for professional coaching, particularly in leadership coaching, digital transformation, and mental wellness. So, from peak for the top to practice for the future is a journey that we are making with reference to our country. In fact, we are seeing a shift from individual coaching to ecosystem coaching, teams, cross level coaching, AI assisted reflections in this space. The future, it seems, is blended, accessible, and rooted in psychological capital. So, what we need is more qualified coaches. So, I was looking at one data that says in India, we just have around close to only 1,300 ICF certified coaches. So, we have a lot of grounds to cover with reference to formal, structured coaching certification, because that's what will believe or ensure faith for corporate India in coaches and in the coaching process. So in India, companies are realizing that the next jump requires not just skills, but transformation of mindsets, the exact space where coaching thrives. I think I would want to reflect this on two levels. First, a genuine belief by the L&D professionals that the successful leaders have become successful because of some mantras or success mantras they have come to define in their life, which is usually rooted in some fundamental truths. And one such truth is their belief in importance of continuous learning. Yeah. What resonates well with these leaders is that the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. Yeah. So that's something that we see when we interact with leaders. No one disputes this fact. The intensity with which they would want to participate in the process is a function of many variables. And that's where I believe the L&D professional has to play an important role. The second is, which leads me to the next point that I was making, is hence me or my colleagues in L&D should not start with a course that I have a particular course and I'm here to recommend you. No, it should ideally start with a conversation, with a genuine curiosity to understand the challenge or a problem statement that the leader is experiencing for themselves or for their unit. So, for example, when we wanted to explore something for our top leadership, create a program, instead of pitching a new learning initiative that we thought is going to be important, we invited these leaders to co create and co design this entire intervention. What it led to is better responsibility, accountability, and then it's an opportunity thereafter for us that allowed us to show how leadership behaviors impact not just engagement scores, but cost levers and innovation velocity. So leaders realize that the development of leadership effectiveness must keep pace with the rate of change and the escalating complexity. So we made learning a business imperative, not just a L&D agenda. Authenticity is just not about always being vulnerable. It's about not being fake. Okay, once we have that understanding, and I have seen great leaders do this quite often in a pressure cooker environment. The temptation to perform leadership is very high, but what they do is to try and build the trust. The real trust is built when you say that I don't know yet, but I'm figuring it out along with you. And they also ensure that this culture seeps into their teams who are managing people. So your team doesn't really need superhero. They need a human who is trying and building a culture of trying and not making the same mistake twice. If you're able to build that along with your team, you'll be really surprised how amazing innovative solutions you will get grounds up, provided you're ready to listen. So I think those are some things that really help when I create programs, when I coach leaders, when I talk to them, and I try and learn from them these things. There are so many. In fact, the book is full with stories, real stories. I have analyzed the patterns. That pattern has been translated into experience and stories. So let me pick up two here just to share. So there's this person, Prakash, who comes into this book in one of the chapters. So Prakash is a man of routine, discipline, and perfection, seemingly good things. But some of these start troubling him. External conflict with the team, and internal conflict leading to poor health indicators. So, what Prakash does and how does he transform to becoming an irresistible manager is an interesting journey that readers will find it relatable and quite inspiring. And these are very easy steps that are mentioned as a part of that story in that book, which in the flow of work, I think managers and leaders can adapt, experience, and follow. Another story is of Sankarshan and Ragini. So Sankarshan, despite of great preparation, is not able to express his views at right time and in important forums. And Ragini, with the same preparation, is able to share her point of view confidently in important forums and meetings. So what benefits Ragini gets of being able to express the point of view is anybody's guess. But importantly, what does it take for Sankarshan to learn this skill, and why is this important for managers and leaders is an exploration with easy to follow steps, is yet another exploration people will be able to do these through this story. And likewise, there are so many stories in that book which people will be able to relate. It's a regular journey. It's a tough journey that way. But three things. One, mountains. Literally, I escape to them with family, no Wi Fi, just wide skies. So that's one. Another is coaching. It's hard to get arrogant when your coachee gives you a silent stare that says, nice try, but I'm not buying that. And the third is gratitude. Every time I teach, speak, or write, I remind myself that I'm just a bridge. The wisdom flows through, not from. Also, my daughter once called my book the manager and leader's version of Harry Potter, but without the magic. So that puts a great responsibility, keeps me grounded, and my ego firmly in check. Yeah, current role anyway offers me great opportunity to contribute and a great mile to run and walk and contribute and serve. But beyond that, there are two things that I would want to really work around. One is career accelerator grid for India's mid India or maybe outside as well, mid-level professionals. And the current book is an answer to that and serves that cause. And the second one is I would like to build and do an intervention for talent development professionals in a manner that helps them earn the seat at the table. Maybe for the second objective, yes, a book, maybe next year. For this year, there is a great amount of curiosity on the current book, and I would want to be available for managers and leaders as they bulk buy books at institution level, they read it, and they would want to come together and maybe interact with me for 45 minutes to 90 minutes to understand, go deep, maybe challenge some things. And as they do that, I want to be available for them as their companion as they consume this content, engage with it, rediscover themselves, and embark on their journey to becoming an irresistible manager. About the next endeavor, one of the consistent observations I have, and I mentioned that, is about L&D professionals not being able to earn the seat at the table. So I created a framework called as Craft. I have copyrighted that framework, and maybe I'll explore, give more details, maybe write a book that can assist them to actually earn the seat at the table and contribute much more significantly than what they currently do. The goal is the same: build workplaces where humans don't just perform, they flourish.